Clair Obscur Expedition 33 has just etched its name into gaming history, and not in a small way. This isn't just another Game of the Year winner. We see those every year. But what we don't see every year, or even every decade, is a game that completely sweeps the industry's biggest awards. We're talking about the Game Awards, the DICE Awards, the BAFTA Games Awards, the Golden Joystick Awards. All of them. Clair Obscur Expedition 33 didn't just win Game of the Year at one or two ceremonies, it won everywhere that matters. And with that, it becomes only the second game ever to accomplish this feat, joining the elite company of Elden Ring. That alone should tell you how significant this moment is, because we are talking about a level of consensus across critics and industry professionals that almost never happens. What makes this kind of sweep so fascinating is how difficult it is to achieve. Every awards body has different voters, different priorities, and sometimes very different taste. One show might lean towards innovation, another towards narrative, another towards technical achievement or artistic direction. For a single game to align with all of those perspectives at once means it had to deliver something that transcended those categories. Clair Obscur Expedition 33 didn't just excel in one lane. It dominated across all of them. It's the kind of game that doesn't just appeal to one type of player or one type of critic. It connects on multiple levels simultaneously, and that's incredibly rare. A huge part of that comes down to its identity. From the very first reveal, Clair Obscur stood out in a crowded industry that often leans heavily on realism or familiar visual styles. Instead, this game embraced a painterly aesthetic blending classical art inspiration with a dark, almost surreal fantasy tone. It didn't just look different for the sake of being different. It used that style to reinforce the world, the mood, and the themes. Every environment felt intentional. Every color choice deliberate. You weren't just exploring a game world, you were stepping into something that felt handcrafted and expressive. And that kind of artistic cohesion is something critics tend to reward heavily. But visuals alone don't carry a game to a historic sweep like this. The gameplay has to back it up, and Clair Obscur Expedition 33 delivered in a way that managed to appeal to both hardcore players and those looking for something more approachable. Its systems were deep enough to reward mastery, but intuitive enough that you didn't feel locked out if you weren't min-maxing every mechanic. That balance is incredibly hard to strike, and yet it's one of the defining strengths of the game. Whether you were engaging with combat, exploration, or progression systems, everything felt interconnected and purposeful. There was very little wasted space, very little filler. Almost everything you did felt like it mattered. And then there's the narrative, which might be the biggest reason why this game resonated as strongly as it did. Clair Obscur Expedition 33 tells a story that isn't just about spectacle or scale, but about meaning. It leans into themes that stick with you. Questions about purpose, identity, sacrifice, and it presents them in a way that feels earned rather than forced. The characters aren't just there to move the plot forward. They feel like real individuals with motivations, flaws, and growth. By the time the credits roll, it's not just that you've finished a game. It's that you've experienced something that lingers. And in a year packed with big releases, that kind of emotional staying power is what separates a great game from a truly unforgettable one. Another key factor here is timing and industry context. We're in an era where massive big budget games dominate headlines and expectations are higher than ever. Players expect technical excellence, expansive worlds, compelling stories, and smooth performance all at once. Falling short in even one of these areas can be enough to knock a game out of contention. Clair Obscur Expedition 33 didn't just meet those expectations, it exceeded them in a way that felt cohesive rather than overwhelming. It didn't try to be everything at once. Instead, it focused on doing a set of things exceptionally well, and that clarity of vision paid off. It's also worth talking about what this means for the developers. Achieving a sweep like this instantly elevates a studio's reputation. It puts them in a position where their next project will be one of the most anticipated games in the industry, but it also comes with pressure. When you set a new standard, people expect you to meet or exceed it the next time around. That's a double-edged sword of success at this level. But if Clair Obscur Expedition 33 is any indication, this is a team that understands its strengths and knows how to execute on its vision. Looking at the bigger picture, this moment also says something about where the industry is heading. Even in a landscape dominated by sequels, franchises, and live service models, There's still room for a game with a distinct voice to rise to the very top. Clair Obscur didn't win because it followed a formula. It won because it stood out. And that's an encouraging sign, not just for players, but for developers who want to take creative risks. It shows that originality, when paired with strong execution, can still break through the noise in a big way. At the same time, moments like this invite debate, and that's part of what makes gaming culture so engaging. There are always going to be players who feel like another game deserved the spotlight or who connected more with a different experience, and that's completely valid. Game of the Year isn't just about objective quality. It's also about personal impact. But when you see this level of agreement across the industry, it's hard to argue that Clair Obscur Expedition 33 didn't earn its place in the conversation. And now I want to hear from you. Do you think Clair Obscur Expedition 33 deserved to sweep every major Game of the Year award? Or do you think there was another game that should have taken that top spot? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. I always enjoy seeing where you all land on these big industry moments. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and ring the notification bell so you don't miss any future uploads. And if you want to go even deeper, check out my Patreon, where my latest exclusive takes a closer look at whether or not open world games still feel fresh in today's gaming landscape. Thanks for watching, and game on.